Welcome back to another episode of Idiot Squared. But instead of being an episode about us talking shit to each other, today is going to be a tutorial on how to talk to a YouTube video. If you've ever watched a YouTube video and you thought, wow, there's so much information and knowledge in that video, I wish I could talk to it. Well, today's the day you're going to be able to do it. We're going to be using some of the latest and greatest technologies, including OpenAI's GPT-3.5 Turbo. We're going to be using LangChain to create the whole chatbot and do all of that. And we're going to run you through the code example. And we'll even have the notebook where you can do this yourself down in the description below. So stay tuned and enjoy.
This sounds dope as fuck. I haven't actually ran this myself yet, so this is going to be a first time for me as well. And I might be talking some shit if I don't understand something. So there will be some shit talking, I can guarantee it.
All right, nice. So there's two things that you're going to need. That is, you're going to need to create a Colab account so that you can use a Colab notebook. I think you have to have an account. Maybe you don't. And you will need an OpenAI API key. So I'm pretty sure at the moment you can sign up for a free account on OpenAI, and then you can get $5 in credits that you can use with your API key. Essentially, this has been simplified as much as possible, and we're just going to run through the code example and show you how to do it all. So without further ado, let's jump in. So if you can see my screen, I've got my cursor up there. So we have a bunch of the things that we need to install right here, conveniently located in the first cell. So the pip install LangChain, we're going to be using that to build the conversational chains and essentially, create the chatbot. OpenAI, we need that to have access to OpenAI's services and their API. A bunch of other ones. We need the YouTube transcript API. We also need the PyTube for that as well. Tick token. And then this is the panel upgrade is for the interface, and then the LangChain doc array. So we're going to run this cell.
For the YouTube one, Rubes, it needs to be a YouTube video that has a transcript, right?
Yeah, correct. So if
I think all YouTube videos have them now. I think it's automatic.
It's a very large proportion, if not all. That's what I know that sometimes if they're uploaded really, like if you watch them and you want to do it within the first like 20 or 30 minutes, sometimes the transcript isn't ready. But yeah, the majority, I'm pretty much, it might even be all the YouTube videos I've ever tried have worked. Actually, it's not all of them. There's been a few exceptions where there wasn't. But there's a workaround for that as well. We could use an audio model, and then we could transcribe it from the audio as well. It would just take more time and cost a little bit more money with tokens. But it's pretty cheap. So all of this should only cost like a couple of cents to be able to have a good long conversation with this YouTube video. So as you can see, all of these are getting installed. So it's quite a bit. So it might take a minute or two to run.
What is it exactly installing?
So these are all the dependencies. These are all the dependencies and the libraries that we need to take advantage of the current technology, right? So this is just like a bunch of code and functions and all sorts of different functionality and use like stuff that makes it easier for us to do these things. So without all of this, we'd have to write all of the ridiculous code that's going on in the background. So this is just like other people have done that for us. They've worked how to do like numbers better and plot stuff better, and thanks to all of those people for doing that, because it would just be a ridiculous amount of work to do all this without other people doing this already. So now that we've run it, we've seen that it's all completed. So we've completed that successfully installed all those things. So now we can clear the output just for the sake of keeping it nice and neat. The next thing we go on to is from all of those libraries and dependencies that we installed, we're now going to import the things that we're wanting to use, right? So from LangChain embeddings.openai, we're importing OpenAI embeddings. From LangChain.TextSplitter, we're importing character text splitter and recursive character text splitter. We're doing the document loaders, so we're loading text loader. We're loading the YouTube loader. We're loading the LangChain.chat models, chat OpenAI. conversational buffer memory, all of those things. So we're just going to run that cell. Perfect. So it's run. Now, this is where you will import OS, import OpenAI, and this is where you will need to paste your API key. So this is my API key, but don't worry, I will delete it before publishing this video. So in here is where you would go on to OpenAI, and you would get yourself an OpenAI API key. Okay. From that, there's plenty of videos on how to do that. It's a very simple process. From there, you would just copy it and you would delete this and paste your own API key in. So I'm going to run this and initialize these variables. Good job. Cool. So here we are defining our loaddb function. So it takes a file and a chain type and a K. We'll explain what K is in a second. So here we are loading the documents.
Well, I can tell you what K is, guy.
Different K.
K a few times, guy.
Different K.
Oh, fuck.
Different K. Yeah.
Sounds like a boring K then, guy.
Well, it is, but it serves a purpose for us today. So we'll find a use. Okay. Now, so we're loader. We're saying loader equals YouTube loader from YouTube URL, and that takes the file. Documents equals loader.load. So we're just loading the document, loading the URL into documents. We split the documents, so text splitter. We use the recursive character text splitter. We're chunking the transcript into 1,000 chunk size, the size of 1,000, and we're giving a chunk overlap of 150. So that means that it keeps some context from the previous chunk and includes it in the next chunk. So there's an overlap. All right. It just helps with it helps with the usability of it. We're saying docs equal text splitter dot split documents, and then it takes the documents, which is the transcript, and then splits it up into those chunks with that overlap. Okay. We then define the embedding. So embeddings equals OpenAI embeddings. We create a vector database from data. So DB, that's our database, equals doc array in memory search dot from documents docs embeddings. Okay, so it's taking the docs and the embeddings and putting them into our database. We define a retriever. So we've got retriever equals db dot as retriever or as retriever. Search type similarity. Search quargs k, right? So k is going to be the number of relevant embeddings that are returned when we search for similarity. Okay. So if we have k at 1, it will return the most similar to our query. If we set k at 5, it will return the 5 most similar to our query. If that makes sense.
The query part.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
So query, we're going to ask it a question. We want to talk to the video, right?
Yeah.
And so what we've done is we've taken the YouTube video. We've got the transcript of it, which is all the text from what was said in there. We've taken that text and we've split it into chunks. Okay. So if there's 10,000 words, there'll be 10 different chunks, essentially.
Okay.
Right. And then we're embedding that. So we're turning it into numbers, essentially. And then what we can do then is we can do semantic search on it. So we can find text that's similar to our query. And when we do that, we want to return a certain amount of those results. And so K defines the number of results that are returned. All right. So it will make more sense in a minute. So then we are creating a chatbot chain. The memory is managed externally. So QA equals conversational retrieval chain dot from LLM. So this is a LangChain related thing. Our LLM, we're setting it equal to chat OpenAI, and the model is GPT-3.5 turbo. We're setting our temperature to 0, which helps with more sort of factually accurate recollections. The higher the temperature, the more the model is sort of free to be creative or make shit up. That's the simplest way to say it. So lower temperature equals more likely to be factually correct and less likely to sort of hallucinate or be creative with it.
Guys, it's making more sense to me, guy. K, hallucinating. Gotcha, guy. The the GPT 3.5 Turbo.
Yep.
That's coming with the API that you paid for, right? That's what it's utilizing.
Yeah. So you have access to GPT 3.5 Turbo through the API. We could put. I have access to GPT-4 as well because I'm a paid OpenAI user. But for the purposes of the notebook, it's just easy to have this because everyone will have access to this with a free account.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So then we're saying our chain type equals chain type, retriever equals retriever, return source documents true, return generated question true. And then we're finishing the function with return QA, which is our conversational agent, question answering agent, sorry. Import panel as PN. Oh, sorry, I've got to run that cell. So we run that cell. So we've initialized it. Now we're importing panel as PN, importing parameters. So here we're defining a class. We're saying param.parameterize. That's what we're taking in. We want our chat history equals parameter list or param list. Answer equals param string. DB query equals param string. DB response equals param list. So we go through this code. This is where we paste the YouTube URL that we want to talk to. Okay. So I have a video up here, and I don't know. I'm just going to change my screen share for a second. Okay. So you can now see that I have this YouTube video up. It's called Building Blocks of Memory in the Brain by Artem Kirsanov. So up there, all I need to do is just take this URL. I can copy it, right? And then I can come back to the code. And in here, I can paste this YouTube URL. Oh, and now that is going to be the video that we talk to. All right. So we're going through. So we've got a whole bunch of other stuff. We want to call load DB. This is a bunch of code that essentially links all of the things together so we can develop this chatbot, right? So I won't spend too much time on all of that. You don't really know need to know much else in order to use this. So we want to run the cell. So then we come down. This is the last one we need to run. So this is essentially building our interface. So we could just use this in the notebook as is, and we would just type it into the cells. But we can make a nice little interface using this code that gives us it's a bit of an easier way to interact with the chatbot. And credit to LangChain and the developer from LangChain. He has a course on chatbots and stuff, and this code is thanks to him. All of this stuff is thanks to him. We'll credit them in the description, etc. So I'm going to quickly run this cell. The cell is running. That means it's taking that YouTube URL, it's getting the transcript, it's taking that transcript, it's chunking it, it's then taking those chunks and it's creating embeddings from those chunks. It's then saving those embeddings and the text chunks into a database that we can interact with the chatbot. So now we come down, we can type a question.
Literally ask whatever we want
to the video.
Anything about the video?
Correct.
Does it have to be related to the video, or can we ask it anything?
Well, you can ask it anything, but it's that we can do that on ChatGPT. So this is a way of like being able to load your own personal data in or loading the YouTube video in and then talking to the video. So the YouTube video that we loaded in is about engrams and memory in the brain, right? So we can ask it a question about that. Like, you haven't watched the video, so you know what the video is about. Is there a question that you would like to know about what goes on in the video?
Building blocks and engrams. I don't know what engrams are. Let's ask it what's an engram.
Okay. So what is an engram in the context of this video? So what is an engram in the context of this video? In the context of this video, an engram refers to a fundamental unit of physical memory substrate. It is a term coined by German biologist Richard Simmons to describe the lasting physical changes in the brain that occur after learning or experiencing something. An engram is believed to be scattered throughout the brain, encoding different aspects of each experience, and can be awakened or recalled through similar experiences or parts of the original event. Okay, so that's a nice answer, right? So then we can have a look at our database. And I apologize, the color coding isn't the greatest in dark mode. So you can see this is our question here. What is an engram in the context of this video? And then it's looked up in our database, which is the transcript of the YouTube video, and it's returned the similar sections, the ones that were returned that were the most similar. So the concept of memory seems pretty intuitive to us. It is the ability to store information about particular experiences and reconstruct them at later times through memory retrieval, right? So it's used this as part of its context. Now, we can come back here and we can ask it, use the context from the search query to provide a more detailed response. Based on the provided context, it seems that the user is asking about the ability of organisms to remember things and how this is studied experimentally. The context mentions a fear conditioning paradigm, which is a popular experimental setup used to study memory formation. In this paradigm, an association is formed between a neural stimulus, such as a sound, tone, or spatial context, and an aversive stimulus, such as a mild food shock. The effects of this conditioning are usually tested the next day by presenting the conditional stimulus again and observing the response of the animal, such as freezing. The context also mentions the use of a platform called Brilliant, which offers educational courses in STEM fields. It is mentioned that Brilliant has a course on algorithms and data structures. That's hilarious. So they've found that he's done an advertisement in the video for Brilliant, and it's returned that.
That's hilarious.
And then it finishes, this is the most relevant part. So that's not very relevant. This is, though. So furthermore, the context discusses the concept of engrams, which are believed to be scattered throughout the brain and encode different aspects of each experience. Engrams can become linked by sharing some of their neurons, which may underlie abstraction and general principles of learning. Manipulating the activities of these neurons can evoke, delete, or create memories.
It sounds like this program, this algorithm, Hurubes, is essentially it's only going to answer questions as it's directly related to the transcript of the video, right? So it's not going to really pull information from anything else. It's only going to answer directly as it's the only data that it has is, I guess, the transcript from that video. So it's not able to sort of give any it's not able to outsource any other information. So it's almost like talking to like that video's brain.
Correct.
Like that single video's brain in a way.
Yeah. So the one thing I will say is it does have other information. So it has its training data. But because it's OpenAI, it has a knowledge cutoff, which is 2021 or something like that. So it doesn't have any new knowledge. It doesn't have a way to get any new information or knowledge other than the information from the video. Yeah. So it does have other information and knowledge, and it will utilize what it has, but it has to be in its training data. So whatever was in its training data, it can sort of utilize to some degree, but it also uses the semantic search or the similarity search over the transcript to then return the most similar and then use that in its context to help inform the way that it answers the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good tool if you watch a video and there's parts of the video you didn't understand clearly, and you'd like to sort of get maybe a better understanding of a certain aspect of the video. So you can ask the video directly. And then in comparison to sort of doing your own research. And if you do your own research, you might be taking things out of context of the video, which the video was intending to, some sort of knowledge that the video was intending to serve. So it's likely you could get like a better answer to what you're looking for, speaking directly with the video in comparison to sort of doing your own research about your question.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, I would say both are going to be very useful. But it, like, to me, like, I use this a fair bit. Now, this is a very vanilla implementation. There are other changes we can make to this. And if people are interested, we can film follow-up videos on how to make this better and how to like improve the usability of it and give it more sort of functionality and make it more useful, right? There's a bit more code to do with that. But if anyone's interested, let us know in the comments and we'll film more videos on that. So the reason I like it is because, I'll often watch a video that's, interesting to me. And then I'll have questions that I want to ask about that specific thing. Right. And so instead of me rewinding and then trying to like type out like the sentence or whatever it was of interest and then having to do try and find things relating to that, etc. Now I can just paste the URL. I can ask this bot about that specific thing that I'm interested in. It will get the relevant areas in the video, right? Based on that similarity search. It can return them to me. I can then take them. I can then ask the model questions about that, and it can help to steer me in directions that I can like further inquire about or I can further learn from. I can also get it, like if I say it's talking about a concept that I don't really understand, I can get it to explain it to me in a way that I can, right? So if I go here and I say, explain n-grams to me like I am an idiot in the context of this chat, right?
It's sort of like being in school and one of your classmates does a presentation on a topic and then there is like a question period at the end where you can question the student about certain things that they presented.
Yeah. And like, this is essentially, it's a way to talk to a YouTube video utilizing, the latest and greatest in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And the beautiful thing about it is AIs are actually quite good at coming up with analogies and explanations in different ways, right? So I just said, explain it to me like I'm an idiot. So it's going to give us a nice, simple explanation, right? So engrams are like puzzle pieces that store information about our experiences in the brain. They are made up of groups of neurons that become active when we remember something. These engrams can be scattered throughout the brain and encode different aspects of each experience. Multiple engrams can also be linked together by sharing some of their neurons. This linking of engrams helps us form connections between different memories and understand general principles of learning. So engrams are basically the physical basis of our memories in the brain. I can understand that.
Is it because you're an idiot guy?
Exactly. It explained it to me like I'm an idiot. It gave me an analogy between puzzle and puzzle pieces, which I can instantly sort of, help to bridge the knowledge gap over to me. Now, what you have to remember is like the analogies are never perfect, right? They always break somewhere. So this isn't going to be, 100% factually accurate, but it can bootstrap that learning process and allow you to make progress in understanding that you can then continue to pursue to develop a deeper understanding, if that makes sense.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so
that's dope, guy. I like it.
Yeah, right. So we'll include the notebook in the chat, in the description, sorry. And if you have any questions or you want us to do further things like this, let us know. Have fun, stay safe, and enjoy chatting to YouTube videos. Peace.
All right, peace, bro. I love you.
Oh, love you too, guy.